This afternoon I'm going to do a video from start to finish on sharpening clipper blades. I got 3 blades in this afternoon, so I thought I would spend the time and make a video on them. So I got a 10, a 5, and a 4. So this is how I started. So they come in, these are fairly clean. So the first thing I do is I take my air compressor and I try to blow them out as much as possible. Now these have been sitting up a while, so they're kind of stiff. So I clean them out real good. If I need to soak them, sometimes I do. I have a parts washer that I put them in. And first thing I do is I examine them. See where the setback is on them. That one's pretty good. That's a number 10. And then I disassemble them. So I like to use the cupcake trays just to keep all the parts together. Everybody's got their own way of doing it. Some guys just lay everything on out. Spring felt pretty good. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to test the spring pressure on it. So that's a mess up right there. I'll do it on the next one. But I did feel it, and it did feel pretty good. So I feel pretty confident that the pre-sharpening tension pressure on the spring was pretty good. So let's do this one. Let's test this one. So it's pretty stiff. So it's going to be a bad indicator no matter what. You can see how stiff it is. It's way past probably 4 pounds. So it's way too heavy at this point. But she said she hasn't used these blades. This girl is not a professional dog groomer. She's actually a stylist. I sharpened 6 pairs of shears for her yesterday. She came and picked them up today and said, "Hey, can you sharpen my clipper blades for my dog clippers?" And I said, "No problem, I will." So, looks pretty clean. I don't need to replace the glide there. Looks pretty good. Let's take a look at this one. It's stiff too, so it's way over also. So like I said, I usually check the tension before and after sharpening, and that's probably a little overkill, but that's just the way I do things. Better safe than sorry. I'm not extremely fast at sharpening clipper blades. If anybody wants stuff fast, I'm not your guy. So there we go. I've got everything ready. They're fairly clean. We'll take a wire brush and clean them out. Make sure she's got these fairly clean. A little dirt in there. Sometimes I really have to soak them really good. This time I'm not going to have to. And sometimes I'll take all the dirt off of them. That looks pretty good. Sometimes I'll take my Dremel tool, clean the inside of them. It's just me. If there's any gunk on them, any rust. There's a little rust on the back of there. She said she's never had these sharpened, and she's probably used them for 5 years. But once again, she's not a dog groomer. She only has her own dog that she does this for. Let's take a look at that one. Clean it up a little bit. Looks pretty good. Let me get this one while I'm at it. And I'll use the hand brush. I'll go back over these here in a second. Let's go ahead and do that one. That one looks alright. It's not dirty. It doesn't have any rust on it either, a little bit. Not too bad. Rust off of it there. And I'll take this one. There's no hair in that one. A wire brush. A wire brush on this one. That one's got a little hair in it. And these are so deep that sometimes I'll get one of my little picks here. Something like this, and I'll run through them, get all the hair out of them, at least loosen it up a little bit. You can see it coming out. And use the air compressor. So that's clean. There's the compressor cutting on. Reposition the camera while the compressor was running there, repressurizing. So I'm going to turn this light off so I can see. Then I'm going to turn my laser on, get the center line on it. And there we go. Now I'm going to turn it on, and I also got to turn on my dust collection system. So here we go with that noise. And I generally have on all the fans, but I'm going to try to keep it quiet for this video. So I line up my magnet. And this is not a fresh plate. I did a few blades on it, so I think there's enough grit on it. I'll know here in a minute. We only have 3 blades to do. I like to do 8 passes and take a look at it, and it's not enough. So I'm going to have to recharge this plate. So I'm going to stop and recharge the plate. All right, it took me about 5 minutes to recharge the plate. So I'm going to fire it back up again, turn the light off. And this is just me. I like to condition the plate first, meaning with an old blade. This is a brand new fresh charge. I don't like to put a blade that I'm sharpening directly on a freshly charged plate. I want to kind of smooth it out a little bit. So this is just an old number 5 blade that I use. I have it right next to my machine, and I just want to do a couple passes on it, see what the spark pattern looks like, and smooth it out. And I can actually hear where I want the plate to be. So that looks real good. So you can see I got some of the grit off of the plate. So now I'm ready to actually sharpen. Now I've already had 8 passes with this first number 10 blade. I didn't like the way it looked. I haven't even put it on the test plate yet. What the hell am I thinking? Like my pattern, I feel pretty good. That looks real good. Now I'm going to go to my rub block. That's what I was trying to say. What's my rub block look like? So I'm not going to reposition the camera, but I'm using the rub block back here, and there's tons of videos out there. So my pattern looks really good on that comb. So I'm going to go to the cutter next. And if you want to see how I charge a plate, I've got a video here on the YouTube channel. So I'm going to start in the middle here. That pattern looks real good. Looks real good. Oh yeah, beautiful grind on that. Now I'm going to go to my rub plate off camera. Take a look at the pattern. Touching all across the tips, so that looks good. All right, let's go to our number 5 blade here. And I'm using the small magnet. And when I'm going to do the 4 here in a minute. I'm going to go to the large magnet, and I'll show you that. I've got a YouTube video on making my little grippy magnets here. You know, some guys like to have a handle on top of it. I have rheumatoid arthritis real bad, and my hands cramp up all the time, and my knuckles hurt, especially when I've got a lot of blades. So I'm going to start about right here. That's a weird pattern. You see that pattern? It's going out though. Here we go. Whoa, knocked over my laser here. All right, let me take a look at it. Oh, it looks real good. So let's go to the rub block. Oh, the rub looks good all across the tips. I'm sorry I'm not more eloquent in speaking here. I'm a sharpener. I'm not eloquent. So I'm going to start out on the outside edge again, or inside edge, sorry. Oh yeah, easy pattern on this one. Got one little spot on one of the teeth that I don't like. So I'm going to do 8 more times. All right, my spot's gone. Let's go to my rub block. Teeth look good. All right, so now I'm going to go from this magnet to this magnet to hold on to the number 4. Because I've noticed a tendency of the smaller magnet to slide, and I don't want to tilt back on this blade. I want the pressure over the front rail. So here we go. I'm going to start in the middle here. And this is much heavier, so I got to reconcentrate so I'm not pushing down too much here. I like the pattern already. All right. Oh, it looks real good. And a lot of times on these larger, heavier blades, the 4s and 3s, sharpeners will have a tendency to lean back on that, and it'll tear up the back side of that blade. And so you'll get a ramp in that blade and it won't cut correctly. So you got to be real careful with these heavier blades. At least that's my experience. So now I don't need that big heavy magnet for the cutter. So I'm going back to the small magnet, line it up, make sure it's over that front, get my grip on there, feels good. I'm going to start back here. Pattern looks good already. Felt good. Looks good. Now there's a little haze on one of the blades, one of the teeth there. So I'm going to go again. All right, the haze is gone. The pattern looks good. I'm going to go to the rub block. Oh, I didn't check the rub block on the cutter, on the comb, did I? Blade looks real good. All right, let me check the cutter, the comb. I'm going to do a little bit more on that comb. It looks odd. The outside teeth are not hitting. So here we go again. We're going to put a little bit more on it. All right, I used the big magnet again. I switch back. The grind pattern looks wonderful. Back to the rub block. Sorry, I don't have 2 cameras to switch back and forth. It's just big a hassle to move it off of that tripod. Okay, now I've caught all the way across the blade now. All the way across the teeth of the comb. Got good pattern on there. So we're done here. Only had 3 blades. So I'm going to turn the camera off and I'm going to move it to the position to reassemble. All right, I'm back into position here and I'm going to demagnetize. I got my demagnetizer over here. Why is it not working? Uh-oh. My demagnetizer is not working. Let's see what's going on here with the plug. Move plugs for it. Maybe it's not working. There it is. Must have been the plug. All right. So it's demagnetized now. So I've already checked the rub patterns on it. Everything looks good. So now I'll take out my little assembly jig. And this little assembly jig, it's just a little piece of wood and it's got some little holders in place, and you use a comb with some little tits on it there. I'm going to move the camera back just a little bit because it's in my way. But anyway, Tracy Marks in Oklahoma, Sharpen Up in Oklahoma makes these. And I'll put his contact information in the description of this video. And I've also got a video out there of me using this assembling clipper blades that's got his information on it. And I got this from him, and it's really helped save my hands because I have a real problem holding on to these clipper blades, and it's gotten worse as I've gotten older and my arthritis has gotten worse. So first thing I do is I take a nylon brush and then I blow them off. Sorry, I hit the camera there. Same thing with the cutter. And I oil the blade across the front rail and the back rail, just a little bit of oil. Line it up. And that's, I'm sorry, I keep hitting that with my hat. Let me move it forward there. Looks good. The setback looks pretty good. It's not ever going to be perfect when I get it. I'll have a final alignment on it. I'm going to have to take all the parts, close it, flip it over. There's my holes. Take the screws, put them in there, tighten them up. Thought somebody was pulling in. I have customers coming and going all day. I don't have anybody scheduled to come by, but you never know. So that looks real good. I like the way that looks. The setback looks fantastic. Final touch on that. Now, like I said before, I checked the pressure before and it was real high. Let's see what it is now. It hit just at the high end, about 3 1/4 pounds is when it moved. Looks real good. So that clipper blade is ready to test. So I set it over to the side. Let's do the next one. Same thing. I take the brush, blow it off, take the comb, blow it off. All the parts, make sure everything's clean. Setback looks good. Make sure it's set down. Flip it over. My holes are lined up. Put my screws in there. And you can see I use a hand screwdriver. Some guys use an electric screwdriver. And my dexterity is just terrible, and it just didn't feel comfortable for me. I haven't found a screwdriver I really like. I wish they made one about this size that was electric. Motorized, I should say. Battery operated. See, the setback moved a little bit, so I'm going to loosen it up. I'm going to reposition a little further forward. Make sure the rails are all lined up good. I like the way that looks. And I do a gentle torque at first. Make sure I don't move everything out of the way. had a tendency of squeezing this left hand and moving things. So that feels pretty good. Feels heavy again. Feels high on it. Let's see. Same thing. It's right. It's on the high end. It's moving right before the. That's the dog in the background that's moving around. So it's perfect. This is fine. So that one's ready to test. Last one, the number 4 blade. Clean it off. Looks good. Some oil. Cutter. It is still hot down here in Texas, and it is very warm without those fans on, but they make so much noise for these videos. I'm sorry, I keep hitting it with my hat, the camera with my hat. So there we go. Usually I have headphones on listening to music. Not today. This looks pretty good. Well, let me move that just a hair. That looks lined up. Now this jig doesn't work fantastic on these larger, thicker blades. It's hard to get the screw in all the way. So sometimes I have to take a little, well, I can't find what I'm looking for, a little pick or something and line that screw up there. And it may not go. I may have to take this out of here because the 4s and 5s do not work great on this jig. That screw popped out. Oh, it grabbed that time. I'm surprised it grabbed. So that felt pretty good. I didn't tighten it up all the way. Whoop, too far up. Light is your friend in this business. So I can see it's got a nice reflection off of it. Back rail looks pretty good. That needs to move just a hair. I think sliding around, that looks real good right there. So I got it where I want it. Nice little tug on that, not all the way. Look at it again. Nope, see it moved up. I moved it. And these you young guys out there doing this can do it faster and easier. But when you're old like I am, it gets harder. My hands are in horrible shape. And I haven't even done this kind of stuff that long, only 9 years. Too far. It slid forward again. See, that looks pretty good, I think, right there. I'll snug it up. Yeah, that looks good. All right, let's make sure I don't push it any further. Yeah, that looks good. So let's test it now. That one feels heavy also. That feels really heavy. Oh yeah, it's way heavy. So I'm going to loosen some tension, and I made this little screwdriver to do that, and I'm just going to give it just a little tug on each side. Don't get aggressive with it. Oh, I might have loosened it too much. Yeah, I did. See it? Now it's on the low end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it back out. And I need something on my hands here. Where's my towel? I just want to give it a little tug back in. I'm not bending it, I'm just putting a little pressure on it. Look at it, doesn't look even there. It looks pretty good. And then I have a special screwdriver to just wedge under it. I just push it down, lift that edge up. Oh yeah, see, that feels better now. I can feel it with my hands, and that just takes experience. Well, it got tight. So just a little. Take a little pressure off of it there. I think that's much better. Yep. It's on the high side, but that's okay. So there we go. I did 3 blades there for this video, and I'm going to test them, and then I'm going to put them in little packages. I'm not going to videotape the testing. I've got a testing video out there on my page, so check it out. So I appreciate you watching it. Tell me where you're watching from in the comments. If you got any comments about anything or questions, put them in the comments, and I try to respond to everybody. So thanks for watching, folks.